Hey traders, TG Watkins here, and I had a subscriber ask me about conviction. They said we just cashed in a good trade on AN AutoNation, and he said, "Hey, yeah, we had to handle some heat on that one, but how'd you know it was going to work out, or how did you have the conviction to stay into it?" And so I thought in today's newsletter I would go through a couple tickers where we had to kind of handle some heat, but I stuck to it and they worked out. Now, of course, this is not always the case, and sometimes you really got to know when you're wrong and you got to get out. That just because you have conviction doesn't mean that you're right. So this is not a blanket type situation, and I think that the circumstances were on my side as far as the general market trend, and the heat that we had to handle was just kind of a temporary thing until I think the greater trend, which in this case was down, was going to work out. So for something like AutoNation, I saw price get up over here and figured it was going to come down here and then continue down, but it decided to bounce at the daily 50. We took two short positions right there, thought it was going to continue to work out like that, but then it just came back up. And it's like, all right, well, I think I'm right, mostly because you could see that price was over the daily 50. The Moxie indicator stayed below zero, so that is a bearish indication. It is definitely not a long indication, and I thought it was just a matter of time until things worked out. So I knew my trade, I knew my indicator, and I felt like I knew what was going on with the market right now. And I thought, even though it's moving up here, just give it enough time, and I think that the greater trend is going to pull this thing back to where I need it to, which is to the downside. Another one, MRVI. This is another one that bounced on us a little bit. And I went in here because it was very extended to the high side, third ATR, gapping off the EMA, all that kind of stuff, and the 50, 200, 50 maneuver. And so, I thought it was going to work, and it did, but then it decided to bounce at the 21. Okay. Well, I still had my conviction that the 50, 250 maneuver was going to work because it didn't touch it yet, and that the bounce off the 21 was kind of a mild situation. So I was like, all right, well, let's just kind of keep hanging on to this thing. And then as it continued to move up, I saw that price was going up and the Moxie indicator was still pretty much dead. Like I was noticing how much this was moving up here, but the Moxie indicator was still kind of moving down. So again, knowing your tools. If you guys are relatively new to this or even to Moxie, knowing your tools, spending time with it, observing it. There's just something about having time in the seat that will help you understand this so that when you kind of get into a situation, you can look at something like this and say, oh, price is going up, but the Moxie indicator is still basically going down. Okay. Or you're familiar with the, bigger patterns of where this driver is coming from. And so that helps give you conviction. Basically, experience and just seeing this enough times gives you that conviction. Again, doesn't mean you're always going to be right. And you could have a lot of conviction and will still blow you out of the water because you're like, I've never seen that happen before. That's possible too. So, and then here on Hymex, this one was actually one that I was a little bit concerned about. I really thought I was right in through here as price basically crossed underneath the 50, came up to the 50, and then looked like it was going to roll over like that. And it did absolutely the opposite thing. We were profitable for a few days right in through there, and it just decided to just turn on me. And same thing, I was like, well, I've been right in this market. It's taken some time, but I do think that the greater strength is to the downside, and I think any moves to the upside are false. And so with that as kind of my background and my narrative, I just said, okay, well, let's just hang on to this. And really, I thought, here we have price moving up like this, and again, it's the 50, 250 maneuver. You cross the 50, you get rejected by the 200, you come back down. And so I thought, well, I'm wrong, but let's see if I can salvage this. So if it comes back down here, let me see if it can hold the 50. And if it can hold the 50, then I'm wrong and I'll have to get out. It'll be a loss, but it won't be as bad of a loss like that. And then as it came down to the 50, you can see it just totally blew right through the 50 and right here continued down underneath the hourly 50. And at that point, I knew I was right on this thing. So it was just a matter of time. And then we got down here to the third ATR and cashed some in. So for a nice win. So again, kind of that experience of knowing your patterns and knowing what to expect and kind of an if then, or if this then that kind of situation. And then the S&P, this one I got my timing wrong. I did not expect the market to move as much as it did. I mean, I believe that there were some records broken and made for this run, something like 11 or 12 days straight up, and that's some record breaking right in through there. We took a short right there and right there because I thought, okay, we got price over the 50. At some point, it's going to need to come back down and test it. and this giant gap between price and the hourly 50. I thought, well, it's going to have to come back down to the 50 at some point. Well, there were apparently still more shorts that needed to be squeezed out of this thing. And so it just kept going up. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that sucks. Um, I didn't really want to get out because I felt like I was ultimately going to be correct about this thing. It was just a matter of, okay, when am I going to be correct? So I just sat on it and waited because I trade stock, so I don't have to worry too much about theta and having my option positions just dissolve on me. And so I just waited, and then when we got a giant bounce up into that third ATR, I thought, oh, that's it. Especially after not having touched the hourly 50 for so long. And so then we added another short piece right there, which meant by the time we even got back to our original piece, we're profitable, and we cashed out here, so we were profitable on both pieces. So that's kind of the thing. Just generally knowing the market, having experience with this, that is what helps your conviction. And so I think that's what you do. Just more time in the seat will help you feel a little bit more confident about the market once you've just spent enough time watching these things and experiencing them. And I tell you, it just takes time. So hope you guys enjoy that because the market is fun. It's an exciting place. It's challenging, but that challenge is what's kind of keeps us coming back for more. So thanks again, guys, and I'll see you later.